We also have a very nice group of attendees. There are already 11 colleagues from this education sector or students all around the world and the region. So, of course, it is the Black Sea University Network community, and there are professors and students from some of the BSUN member universities, but also students, as I said. And once again, I would like to remind them that they have the possibility to chat and also to interact via the question and answers during this session. And if somebody from the audience between the attendees would like also to participate in the discussion with an opinion or something like that, just drop me very quickly a chat on chat, and we shall bring on the panel. Evie, good morning.
A very good morning.
Good morning. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's quite early in Brussels.
It is.
Yeah. Professor Teodosiu, kalimera.
Kalimera, kalimera. Good morning to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
It's an honor. What's the weather like in Dubai?
Hello. The moment we are waiting for Minister Borbeli, and any moment when he will be here, we shall start. We have also a very nice audience here at the Romanian pavilion. We have a group of participants. Maybe you would like to introduce yourselves? Yeah. As you want.
Hello, everyone. We are Pro-Afaceri Business Club. We are from Romania, but our name actually it's not just for Brașov, so the name is Pro-Afaceri Romania for us. We are 4 years old, and we have more than 100 meetings, business meetings in Romania. Each Wednesday we have our own club, and we gather a lot of entrepreneurs from Brașov, and not just from Brașov. Our friend and our member, it's Mircea, he lives in Norway. And also we have a lot of entrepreneurs from other parts of Romania. So that's why we are not just Pro-Afaceri Brașov, we are Pro-Afaceri Romania. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me introduce also Joel.
Hi, everybody. I'm from Canada. I'm here actually on behalf to represent Mr. Ornet for Eco Ornet, his company. I've been working for since April 2020 to promote and to sell this product.
Very nice community, as you have seen. There is this academic community, we have professors, we have students, and we have Minister Borbeli. Good morning, Minister Borbeli.
Good morning. I have a problem with the fixing of camera. Unfortunately, I am online. I am not physically there, but I was in December. In December, we received the prize of the United Nations at the gala in Dubai, and it was a very big honor for us and for my colleagues, because in each year, United Nations gave one prize for this part of Europe. So thank you very much for inviting me, and it will be a pleasure. I see a lot of very well-known persons, and hello to everybody. Okay.
So thank you. Thank you very much. As you probably heard here in Dubai at the Expo 2020, there is a very high focus and interest on sustainable development and the sustainable development goals. particularly this week, 16 to 22 of January, is the week dedicated to global goals. So it is a week where there will be several events in different pavilions. There will be many activities that will focus the attention on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, on pathways for, let's say, future developments and so on. So in this context, the academic community wouldn't be aside. And of course, we wanted to be here on the roof of the planet because the Expo 2020, we could say that is the roof of the planet at this moment. And here we wanted to raise our concerns, to look to what we have done up to now, and to try to do a little bit more in the next period. And in this, let's say, attempt, we have the pleasure of having very important keynote speakers, participants in the panel, but we have also a very nice audience from the Black Sea region. And just in order to not lose too much time, I would like to start very quickly in the program. So as you have seen in the program, we wanted to invite Dr. Laszlo Borbeli. He is the Minister Counselor in the Romanian government, and he is coordinating the Department for Sustainable Development. And he did a fantastic job that was really appreciated, even at the level of the United Nations, as was presented early. And this department in the Romanian government is also an example of how to address these issues in the Black Sea region. So, Mr. Borbeli, the floor is yours for your introductory speech.
Thank you very much, Professor Eden Mahmoud. Thank you very much for inviting me. We are veterans, I hope, with the Black Sea Universities Network to participate together in different meetings, and not just to participate, but to be partners in different projects. So it's a pleasure and an honor for me to be here. Yes, and thanks also to the host, the Romanian Pavilion, Ambassador Ferdinand Nagy. He was a very good host in December when we were in Dubai. And as you mentioned about the Sustainable Development Goals and how close is all the spirit of Expo Dubai to sustainability. It was amazing. Even if you are going in washroom at toilets, they are painted ODD, SDG 1, SDG 17, SDG. So it was amazing for me. And probably in Romania, I want to discuss with restaurants and different institutions to introduce also in this very intimating place, how you are looking and you see everywhere SDGs, because it's important. It's important to have in our mind, but it's important to do something for a more sustainable society. And that's why, in my opinion, regional development is very important. And especially in this region of Black Sea, of Western Balkans, zone of European zone of the former Soviet Union countries, which are very much of similarities regarding how they approach administratively and interinstitutionally the theory of sustainable development. And for us, it was very important that our prize was given by the United Nations because we succeed to establish a more efficient way for the public administration to implement Agenda 2030. It's very important for us because if you have no an interinstitutional framework in your country, you have no very clear partnership with different stakeholders in the society, it's a failure. It's a failure. It is a very good and very nice theory, but in practice, you have to do more. And that's why we established this part of the policymakers. And in next year, we will finalize a huge project with European Union, which means that we will have a new code of sustainability. We will have a new, I hope, a strategy for circular economy in Romania. We will have a very coherent background of how we reduce emissions on the level of buildings and near zero efficiency building what we are going to. So we have this interinstitutional framework, but the most or similar importance for us is given by the partnership with different parts of civil society, of private companies and others. And that's why, based also on our collaboration with the Black Sea University Network, with universities on this area, it's very important we discussed, and I hope that we will have as soon as possible a discussion regarding this regional platform, which was started by the University of Thessaloniki, to have a regional platform on SDGs in this area. Romania, in this moment, we have a platform. The platform will be started in 2 months, and we have the ambition to have this platform unique in this area. What means? All the the background of sustainable development in the world, data, because we will finalize an action plan until 2030, and we will have in February the governmental decision regarding the action plan, what we have to do in Romania until 2030. So this regional platform could be connected by our one-stop shop, what we are calling to this platform. We will establish a center of excellence. Will be very important. Also not for us, but I hope for the region. Regarding our recovery and reconstruction plan, we have about 14 million euro to establish this center of excellence. What means the center of excellence? Will be an institution 100% for public administration, to serve public administration with studies, analysis. We will be in touch with universities, with different experts and those who are very well known in this area. Secondly, we have a new job in Romania. We have experts in sustainability, in sustainable development. We will train by post-university knowledge this year 150 public servants. We'll be the first 160 because we have hubs in different ministries. With them, we finalize the action plan, and those and 90 from hubs and 60 from local authorities will be the first experts in sustainable development. in this center of excellence or near the center of excellence will be, our ambition is until 2026 to train about 2,000 experts in sustainability, because it's a holistic way to approach. Will be, of course, some specialties, but it's important to have a holistic view, to have another approach of mentality of the people, and you need this holistic approach. And thirdly, as I mentioned, this one-stop shop, this platform, which will be established near this center of excellence. So we need partners. We have a partnership in this moment with the Council of Rectors of Romania, with all universities. Based on this partnership, in this moment, we have 5 clusters, 5 universities in Romania involved in this concept of Center of Excellence, and will be our partners, all the universities, but one of these universities is University of Ovidius from Constanța. So we are prepared to make an important step forward regarding the establishment and the monitoring of SDGs and the sustainable development. We are, I hope, an important regional partner, Romania, in this regard. We are very active on the level of UNICE, on the level of United Nations, on the level of OECD. We have 3 different partnerships in this moment, 2 with OECD and 1 with the European Union regarding better governance and how to put in the center of government this field. And finally, at 11 o'clock our time, we will have a first meeting with our Court of Audit of Romania. They will establish a monitoring system, an audit system for the future based on a European project. So it will be very important also on the level of audit, on the level of this part of the prevention, to have partners on the administration level in Romania. So I hope that I convince you that we are partners. We will be very happy to be invited on these very important meetings and to promote this not just theory but practice of sustainable development to have a more sustainable world. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Minister Borbeli, for pointing out on the very important aspects of the needs for partnerships and the way in which not only declaring, but you are doing this on a day-by-day work. It is a really impressive work, the persuasion and also the let's say very consistent set of activities that you are doing in Romania. Thank you for also partnering and putting that much emphasis on the role of education, role of universities in all this process. Now, with your permission, I would like to move.
So just 1 minute, I forgot it, very important issue regarding Southeast Europe. Southeast European agenda. We finalize it, we have focal points, and we will have as soon as possible a meeting in which we will have very concrete projects for the future. So those who are present will be, I hope, interested to be partners. Southeast European Agenda 2030, it's a very important document, and we will have partnerships on this field until 2030. Excuse me.
Thank you very much. Now from Bucharest, we are moving to the United States in Los Angeles, where Professor Karin Marchides, the president of the American University in Armenia, but for us, the most important is that Professor Marquides, she is the president of the Black Sea Universities Network. And in this, from this perspective, Professor Marquides, you know very well that we are talking for a long period around the aspects of education and the involvement of universities in all this process. There were already 7 years. So the agreement was adopted in 2015 in autumn. And in 8 years from now on, we shall reach the point. So what we have done, what we have learned, what we have to take with us for the next period, what kind of ideas you have from that perspective? And once again, thank you for accepting at this very late hour in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I hear you very well.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, good. So yes, education for sustainable development is of course really on everybody's mind right now. And what does it mean for higher education? I think it's so timely that you are lifting this here now, and also to really see it in context with the partnerships with other stakeholders. So the complexity that the SDG goals are really putting forward for us needs engagement from many stakeholder groups. That's for sure, and also it's broader than we might think in the first place. So it connects to everything, like of course circular economy, climate resilience, security, justice, everything that is need to be considered for the human beings in the world. So so the public and private sectors and the universities have different roles to play. And I think this is something that we need to consider now, to not only to understand what role we play in our different stakeholder groups, but to really understand what the other stakeholders' roles are as well, so that we can actually approach these complexities together. In higher education, so the social sciences, mathematics, and natural science and technology can, of course, enable a knowledge required for the solution of these complexities. And the engineers, I would say, are very important to integrate these different knowledges to desirable resilience for human beings. So handling this, the implementation of the SDGs require new directions for educational programs and activities. And what do I mean by that, or what do we see, and what is my contribution to this discussion here? I think that that higher education needs to give students abilities that we have to really consider in the universities, and see how we can work together and network together to achieve this for the next generation of students. So the first thing is to learn to observe and understand complex challenges. Just that ability is not really part of most universities' missions today. So we have to see how can we help the students to really get a understanding of looking and see a complex landscape. And the second thing that I think is very important is to be able to transform mindsets. What does it mean to really have the ability to help transform a mindset? This is, of course, built on trust between the different partners that are going to approach a common challenge. The third thing that we need to make sure that students are given ability for is to be trained in developmental leadership. the leadership has to be more than just, it has to be in 360 degrees, and it has to be in different dimensions and across borders. I think that there is knowledge about developmental leadership, but it is very unusual that it is connected within the universities. And then the fourth area, I think, to integrate with real challenges in society, to really get in connection with the real challenges, you can say, to have a laboratory where all the variables are there in reality. That is, of course, some universities have developed living labs and similar type of activities. Design thinking laboratories and so forth. I think we have to figure out more and better models for that and learn from each other. Because it's when we have very complex challenges, we also have to be able to test them in these real settings. So transform real challenges in the society. When we are actually meeting the real world around us from the university, we also have to make sure that we can, in practice, transform also the theory that we have. Then, of course, implement the SDGs using a level play field for all humans. I think that is something that also is very important, that we see all the different parts of the world where the effect is for the actions that we are taking, and that we treat that with a level play field approach. Well, these were 6 different areas that I think are something that is new in many ways for a university to take on in our roles and to build into the education. But when we do that, I also believe that it's important to look at education with progression, so that we have a mindset to help the students to really move and develop these skills and abilities. So the sustainable development needs to be a core, the core value embedded in all the courses. Not taught by itself, but to be really part of a core value throughout all the courses that we have in the university. And specific courses, of course, needs to be there as well, because sustainable development is a discipline by itself, such as system thinking, circular economy, design thinking, and so forth. These are, of course, parts of not part of other disciplines, so that has to be taught by itself. Also believe that we should require more, that all the research projects on bachelor, master, and PhD level should be connected to say a SWOT analysis, for the students have to kind of reflect on how whatever they are doing, how it reflects, how it connects to the SDGs. And finally, I think it's important to train much more generic and transferable skills, personal skills development in the universities that we are doing today, and help the students to really become leaders and change agents. So in addition to that, I think we should encourage the student clubs for sustainability to be more active. And I think I stop there with my introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Markides. When you were speaking, particularly on aspects related to complexity of the challenges, and besides of that, also aspects related to the involvement of the students, I had in my mind the images that I participated to this very nice hackathon event on Lake Sevan, and I remember how can I say, the excitement in the eyes of the students of your university that were participating at this event, where they spent one night in preparing models for evaluating the level of pollution in Lake Sevan. And it was a fantastic joy in being involved in trying to look for something and trying to face with these important challenges. So this is a fantastic aspect, and once again I would like to congratulate for what you are doing in Armenia at Yerevan, at the American University in Armenia. So now I would like to remind once again to all attendees that we have a section Q&A for questions and answers. So the distinguished members of the panel, they could reply live to your questions. Besides of that, we have a chat pane where you could also interact. And as I said, if you really want to participate with a remark or something, just send us a short chat, and we can take you and offer you the microphone to express your opinion. Now, once again, I would like to remind to all participants that we are here in Dubai at the Romanian pavilion at the Expo 2020 in the week that is dedicated to the global goals. So we started this week today with an event dedicated to the involvement of education process in the implementation of SDGs. And from Los Angeles, now we move to Thessaloniki, actually the place of the very famous university, Aristotle University in Thessaloniki. And when we say Aristotle, we already are marking a very important pillar of the mankind civilization and culture. But besides of that, we have to remember that very close to Thessaloniki is also the Mount Athos, another very important reference in all the spirituality of mankind civilization. And we now invite Professor Nicolaos Theodosiou. He is a professor at the Aristotle University in Thessaloniki, a very well-known expert in the field of civil engineering, dedicated particularly to hydrotechnical engineering activities. But now, today, we are inviting him to speak here in the position of the chair of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the chapter for Black Sea, was mentioned also by Minister Borberi. So, Professor Theodosiou, maybe I should have more minutes to introduce you, but please take the microphone now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you for your kind words. I would like to start by thanking you all for the invitation to participate to this very important conference. I would like to thank the Black Sea Universities Network for taking the lead to organize this this online conference, and of course the Romanian government who hosts us in the Romanian pavilion in Dubai. I would like to congratulate Minister Borberi for his very well-deserved award by the United Nations. We all know the work that he is doing in Romania, and not only in Romania, to promote the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. I think that due to him, Romania is one of the leading countries in Europe in the implementation of the SDGs. So congratulations, Minister, and keep up the good work. And from what you mentioned about the Center of Excellence and the other initiatives that you are starting and you are promoting, I think that all of us and all the attendees today will stand by your side and offer their assistance to whatever you might need in this very, very important target. As Professor Mahmoud said, I'm here as the chair of the United Nations Network. It's called the Sustainable Development Solutions Network for the wider area of the Black Sea. I must emphasize that today we also have with us 3 members of our Leadership Council. So it's very important for our network and for this meeting to have such a representation. Well, these networks operate under the auspices of the Secretary General of the United Nations and the global direction of Professor Jeffrey Sachs from Columbia University in New York. Our network was launched 3 years ago, and it comprises 12 countries from the Balkans and all around the Black Sea. Well, the purpose of these networks is to mobilize global scientific and technological expertise to promote practical problem solving for sustainable development. The members of these networks are mostly universities and research centers. And actually, the United Nations expect from these networks to come up with new innovative ideas for the implementation of the SDGs, considering that current expertise and technology is not enough to assist us to achieve the goals in 2013, which is actually tomorrow. So we need more input, we need more ideas. And where better to find these new ideas than in universities, and not only in professors and researchers, but also to the minds, the clear minds of our students. So the topic of our discussion today, the education for sustainable development, is very closely related to the activities of our network, since of course education is one of the main pillars of universities. And I'm not talking just about the typical education. I'm also talking about lifelong learning education, because we must not forget that things are changing, and we need to keep people that are out of the universities, we need to keep them informed and keep them involved in this process. The challenge actually is to include the Sustainable Development Goals to the curricula of the courses offered by the universities. Universities, professors, and all those involved in the education process, they often revise the curricula of their courses to include new approaches and state-of-the-art knowledge. Obviously, the SDGs offer a new perspective to the traditional ways of teaching scientific topics. The issue of introducing sustainable development in education is unfortunately more difficult than it sounds. We all refer to topics included in the SDGs without actually referring to the SDGs. But most importantly, without breaking barriers, without breaking scientific barriers, and we need to do that. And I will explain what I mean. Professor Markidis also referred to this topic as well. The key for the analysis of the implementation of the SDGs is multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary. We cannot implement one of the SDGs without considering the others. The same approach should be introduced in education as well. You know, in ancient Greece, the philosophers, since Eden already mentioned Aristotle, the philosophers were also scientists, mathematicians, technocrats. Philosophy in Greek, means the love for wisdom. A technocrat is the one who masters the arts. Today, a technocrat has almost the opposite meaning. Let's not forget that in the school of Plato, there was a sign at the entrance saying, Midis agiometritos isito, meaning no one who does not know geometry and mathematics should enter the school of philosophy. This is something that, this is a connection that we lost along the way. I don't know when and I don't know how, and this is a very large topic of discussion, but we lost the connection between philosophy and mathematics. We lost the connection between humanities and sciences. We need to restore these connections, and the SDGs is an excellent opportunity for that. All the SDGs describe and affect aspects of our everyday lives and ask for scientific approaches, both technocratic and philosophical. And this is a great opportunity to ensure our common future through the process of the implementation of the SDGs, and at the same time, strengthen the connection between humanities and sciences. And what a better way to realize this opportunity than through education. Thank you.
We cannot hear you now.
I finished my statement for the moment.
Okay, so in principle, the aspects related of regional cooperation, coordination, and aspects to have this integrative way of thinking is, let's say, the approach that you consider that has to be, let's say, the path for the next steps.
Exactly.
Now, once again, because I was following here the chats and the Q&A, so we have 33 attendees. I mentioned that they are from the academic community of the Blacks Universities Network, but not only, because this was the invitation was also distributed to different other participants. So I would like to remind once again that we have the Q&A possibility, the possibility to drop there a question for the panelists. There is also the chat panel here. I am also chatting with my team in Constanța and so on. So thank you very much, Professor Theodosiu, for these introductory remarks. Now we are moving to Brussels, and I am very happy to introduce Evie Cobjans. Evie, we are working together for quite a long period, but you started even before in building this European network of blue schools, and this is a fantastic undertaking, and we are also very happy that we succeeded to draw the attention of some of the Romanian schools about this initiative. So in this context, with such an experience of cooperating with the schools all around EU, from most of the seas of the European Union, what is, in your opinion, the aspects of achievements? What things have you remarked that we could say, yes, we can do and we are able to do this in the process of education, either formal or informal? And what kind of things you consider that we have to take into consideration for the next period? Evie, the microphone is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eden. And thank you also for inviting me to this conference. Let me first introduce the program I work for. I don't know if you all know this. So I work for European Marine Science Educators Association, where I manage the network of European Blue Schools. So this is a network of schools in Europe that focuses on teaching ocean topics and sustainability together. So it's an initiative from the European Commission, DG Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, and it's part of the larger EU for Ocean Coalition for Ocean Literacy. So I don't know if you have heard from the term of ocean literacy. Well, ocean literacy is actually the science of understanding how the ocean affects our lives and how we affect the ocean. So it's a powerful tool for making people aware of the important role of the ocean and seas, so the global oceans and the regional seas that connect with it. The ocean, it's part of the system Earth. It influences the weather, climate, and makes all life on Earth possible. So it's very valuable for us, as it offers food, energy, resources, recreation, trading routes, and so much more. So the humans and oceans, we have always been interconnected. And this ocean literacy, the concept of ocean literacy, it means understanding this intriguing relationship we have with the ocean and having also the power to choose to respect this and make responsible choices towards the use of it and also protect it. So especially now the ocean is under increasing pressures. So bear this in mind, that's ocean literacy. And in 2020, DG Maritime Affairs and Fisheries from the European Commission, they brought networks and organizations and individuals who have been putting effort in making citizens more ocean literate together under the EU for Ocean Coalition for Ocean Literacy. So to enhance this ocean literacy in Europe and make the ocean a concern of everybody. The goal is to increase the impact of all these isolated projects that had been going on in the past and actions. So EU for Ocean consists of 3 networks. One of the organizations, the other one is for engaging youth as from 18 years old, and one is for schools committed to ocean education. And DG Mari acknowledges that the role of teachers and schools is very essential for this mission of the EU for Ocean Coalition and the mission of DG Mari itself. So that is pretty new concerning the mission it always had. Now it really makes schools gives schools an important role in this. So in a European Blue School, the teachers, they engage actively to bring the ocean to the classroom. That's through product-based learning. Well, the main goals are also to bring ocean professionals from the blue economy and schools closer together. So students, they get more opportunities to know the blue sector and possible careers. As the EU is investing a lot in the blue economy, the maritime professions are, they are the careers of the future. And with this Blue School initiative, the European Commission also hopes to get students more motivated to participate in the blue economy. So it is very important. Another one of the goals is that in Europe, there has been a history of the academic world developing projects for schools on ocean topics. And now it is time to make a change, that schools are becoming the agents of change for the ocean. So it is not only inherited on the EU Blue School initiative, but we see this also in other large environmental programs like eco schools or blue flags, that schools get a more important role in the community. Instead of being from academics to schools, it is now from the schools bottom up that we see this happening. This is a bit the core of a European Blue School, and there are a few elements that we see that is like the foundation of a Blue School. It is certainly an integral part of environmental education. The ocean has always been neglected, but now we see that schools are taking are starting to take up, as society is also looking more towards the ocean. We see it coming back in the school as well. Education for sustainability is also a very important part of a European Blue School. So in these projects, teachers, they want to change the way how students think and act and be responsible towards the ocean environment. And based on the understanding that what we do today has further implications and on our lives and the future of our planet. So in the European Blue School, they empower learners to transform themselves and the society also they live in. That is also something that is pretty new in education. In education, it's usually a professor giving knowledge or teaching skills. It is now via project education, we see there is a change where students, they take the action or they come up with topics or they look in the environment, what is going on. And students are now cleaning riverbeds and trying to find solutions on what to do with algae that are on the beach. So that is different than compared to, let's say, 20 years ago. So there is a change in the entire education system. And these SDGs, they're a great lead for teachers to build such projects. So you see that schools that embrace a sustainable development agenda, they show their students different type of topics like working on clean water, responsible consumption of seafood. I'm talking about the ocean topics now, and also climate change, the effect of climate change on the ocean. So that is all pretty new, as these topics are not in the regular curricula. So via the SDGs, teachers can, and project education, teachers can tackle these topics. And these are real life topics as well, which is also something that is new, let's say, over the past 20 years, as the curriculums are pretty fixed. And so they tend to be older than what is going on in the world today. And via project education, teachers have the freedom to work on real life issues and to work with real life professionals as well, like inviting a scientist to talk about their research to the classroom and helping the scientist to gather data. So you had asked me another question, Eden. What did I not answer?
No, in principle, I fully agree with the things that you pointed on, that within this project and this network that you are developing, you involved the pupils, the students in different other activities, like participating as volunteers, being engaged in different initiatives, doing things that usually they are not doing in the classroom and in their, let's say, formal type of education activities. And this is really fantastic. And what I was wondering, what kind of things you consider we have to do in the next period? What kind of aspects you consider that we have to point on?
With regards to
the implementation of these, let's say, concerns regarding the sustainability in coastal areas related to seas and ocean?
Yeah, well, I think from a national point of view, as every education system has its own, every country has its own national education system. I think the collaboration between schools and yeah, from my side, the blue economy and other national
Let's call it the
institutes,
community, the business community, the social community, the local authorities.
Should be much closer. Schools are not on an island. they have to be networked more and more within the community, and that will increase the success of ocean projects or projects in general as well, and also the education. And now the curricula, I'm not saying that teaching what has been taught is not good, but it has to be more embedded in the community, and schools have to reach out to the community, but also the other way around. There has to be long-term partnerships with the community. So that is the way to go.
And where probably the kids, the students, they have to have a much bolder role in all these aspects in their local societies, local communities. Thank you very much. Thank you, Evie. So we have such an example of different attempts and activities that are developed by Professor Carmen Bucovală. She is developing these kind of projects effectively in Constanța. And I would like to kindly invite now Professor Bucovală. So we are moving now to Constanța. And we are looking for, let's say, the lessons learned from this kind of projects. So Professor Bucovală, please.
Thank you. Good morning from Constanța. I would like to share with you some thoughts on sustainability as teacher in Ovidius High School and as NGO member of Mare Nostrum NGO in Constanța as well. In the last decades, we faced an important shift in education, from environmental education to education for sustainable development. Therefore, we asked ourselves many years ago what ESD should be. And of course, we have to have some knowledge, but are the knowledge enough? Then we have to develop competencies and skills to our students, but are those easy to achieve? We found out it's not. It is a lifelong learning process, but how can we involve the general public, for example, the families of the students? And this should be an education that is truly relevant for every learner. So as you can see, we started with more questions than answers at the very beginning. During the years, we found out that ESD is a profound transformation of how one is thinking and is acting, not only a simple educational process. We found out that it is a holistic and transformational education that address not only the content, not only the curricula, not only the outcomes and the pedagogy, as well the learning environment, the learning setup we develop for our learners. It does not integrate only information on biodiversity or climate change or sustainable consumption or social interaction. It should create an interactive student or learner-centered technique in order to create a shift from teaching to learning. Regarding the pedagogy of ESD, it should support a direct learning, participation and collaboration among the learners, a problem-oriented, inter and transdisciplinary approach, and of course, a connection between formal, informal, and non-formal education. The road to sustainability consists in big steps and small steps. The big steps in terms of education are passing from knowledge to skills, then to attitudes and values in order to reach a proper behavior in our learners. Not only students, not only young people, as well as the general public, the entire society, the entire community. But it also consists in very small steps that can be done, I think, more easily in formal education, because we can develop a structure approach, starting, for example, from defining the problem, defining a local issue that it's relevant for everyone, younger and older participant at the ESD, and moving to the solution finding by exploring the topic, creating the team, developing a working plan, in order to achieve what we want to do in social connection, and to find new stakeholders and new actors that get involved in solving a solution. That should be not necessarily a general recipe for achieving ESD, but a very good way to involve more and more people, starting from, for example, for a group of school students. In conclusion, it's very useful and can be very fruitful to analyze the roots of the local problems, because are relevant for everyone, to stress the need of finding solution, finding effective solution, finding creative solutions, and for everyone to try to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem, as it said, to have an active role within the local community, within the class, within the school. Another very important thing I would like to stress is that the schools, the formal education system, have a social responsibility. Not only the business sector, not only the big corporation, but also the schools as institutions that belong to the community. From the perspective of the schools, they should offer their offer to open up towards new partners, new collaboration, new stakeholders within the community, or within the local community, or outside the community, in order to create connection and to create synergies among the initiative, similar initiative or different initiative in the society. We have to keep in mind that the new global context require for new skills and new competencies, and we are preparing our students, our learners, generally speaking, to a society that will look different. So we have also to keep in mind that resilience, we are talking a lot nowadays about this, it's an important tool, and it should be developed at individual level as in the society or community level, with a economic approach, social approach, and of course educational approach. And in the end, I would like to stress that the teachers should be a co-learner, like a road partner for the students, and not only to deliver, to present some pieces of information. And a teacher should accept, as I mentioned at the very beginning of my of my presentation that sometimes he can have more questions than answers. So for me, in a nutshell, this would be the principle of sustainability and education for sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice thought and very nice remark, because yes, in a very complex world, as Professor Marquides pointed on, where everything is getting more and more complex, of course, we are, as educators, we are learning. And actually, the competence of an educator might be even measured as his or her capacity of learning together with their students and let's say the collaborators. So thank you very much on this. We have on behalf of one of the attendees, Ruizan Megvabice, the request for intervention. So I shall kindly ask Laurențiu to change her from the position of attendee to panelist, if you would like to say something. Laurențiu? Deci deschide microfon. Dar îi dai de acolo de... So, Ruizan, can you hear us? So if you want to intervene, you have to open the microphone from your side. Okay, so meanwhile, waiting for the interaction of Ruizan, so we shall move forward. We have prepared something like a summary, and I shall share the screen now. A summary of what we consider extremely important to be pointed on. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this meeting has, let's say, declared purpose for a time of evaluation. And we shall start with ourselves as the Black Sea Universities Network in respect to United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. As you know, it was a very important moment in the history of the last decade. So in New York at the General Assembly, the agenda has been adopted, and on this, in the text of this declaration, it is stated very clearly: we commit to provide inclusive and equitable quality education at all levels, and starts from early childhood, primary, secondary, tertiary, technical, and vocational training. So it's one of the core vision of this agenda, is something that is one of the backbones, we can say, of this agenda. And of course, there is also an SDG dedicated to quality education. We are talking about SDG 4, where there are recognized, let's say, the achievements that have been done, but also there are pointed out the aspects that are expected and contributions for very important regions in need. And of course, it is also very clearly outlined the need for achieving inclusive and quality education for all. So the quality education target has, of course, the quality education goal has several clear targets that have been defined as primary and secondary education, early childhood, technical, vocational, tertiary, and adult education, skills for work, equity, and of course, literacy and numeracy. sustainable development and global citizenship. And there are mentioned also different type of means like education facilities and learning environment, scholarships, and about the teachers. So let's go to the Black Sea region now. Let's look what we have in our region. A region that is defined at a glance, that covers a geography encompassing the territories of the Black Sea littoral states, but includes also the Balkans, the Caucasus, and an area that is, let's say, geographically covering 20 million square kilometers. And in this area, there are 330 million people, and volume of trade in the range of 300 billion annually. So after the Persian Gulf, the region where we are today is the second largest source of oil and natural gas, along with its rich proven reserves of minerals, metals, and other natural resources. And it is becoming Europe's major transport energy transfer corridor. So a fantastic region with a fantastic potential, but also with inherited problems, because in this region we had centuries of confrontations, and still we have. We have inherited non-cooperative mentality, unfortunately, long-lasting environmental problems that are getting even worse, major economical imbalances, scarcity of investment resources, instability and insecurity, and unfortunately, ethnical and different other type of segregation. In our region, we have a sea that is considered the most pollutant sea in the world. And unfortunately, the more than 70% of the pollutants are caused not by the riparian countries to the Black Sea. So this is also a very important aspect that has to be taken into consideration. There are different issues that are becoming endemic, like eutrophication, problems to which, unfortunately, we don't have yet solutions. And the importance of this region is also extremely important, is very well highlighted due to the connectivity of the Black Sea region with the Danubian and the Mediterranean global systems. So in our region, historically, we have everything we need. We have the wisdom, we have the experience and possible approaches to solve our problems. The region was the one that generated one of the, let's say, most important patterns of human behavior to challenges, which is the race for the golden fleece, the Argos, and the whole attempt for discovery, extending, let's say, the borders of knowledge. And this is fantastic. So this has been done here, and this marked the future development of this mankind civilization. Okay, we had also another discovery here. We discovered that when somebody really wants, can build a huge empire. And this was the unique Alexander, who demonstrated that when you have a vision, you could, how can I say, dream to have the opportunity to interact with communities from very large geographies. But also in this region, it was experienced the pilgrimage as the dedication for promoting knowledge and for being in the service of the others. So as I was saying, we don't need to reinvent something different. We already have all these kind of patterns of knowledge that we have. But unfortunately, we are still lagging behind. If you look into this global index of innovating nations, we could see that the region, although it stands on a huge stockpile of resources, also there is a huge market, also there is a very high, let's say, number of population. Unfortunately, we are still lagging behind in innovation where we were considering that we are the best. So unfortunately, we are still behind. So what we can do, what education can do for this? And I liked very much the introduction of Professor Marquides, because she pointed out on the role of the universities that started, let's say, historically from the education, the identity, from research mission towards entrepreneurial university. And today the universities are aggregating all these models of addressing the societal challenges, and now are, let's say, making the leapfrog for much higher type of way of thinking. So the Black Sea Universities Network is a network that has started from an idea of having a framework for cooperation. So this was the fundament, the let's say, the starting, the initial point of our attempt. And at present is covering all this Black Sea geography with more than 120 universities that we are interacting with. We have already models for developing the activities. There are projects that are undergoing and so on. And of course, this concept of network is not only beautiful, but it's something that is almost a common sense, because networking means actually surviving. So any university, if they want to recognize it as a mission or not, they are doing networking on a day-by-day activity. So what we as the BSUN, as the Black Sea University Network, we try is just to offer the frame for such an activity by supporting this process. And of course, we use different models. For instance, we've been inspired by cloud computing, and we consider the model that we are interested on, where the universities that have different infrastructures, they could work together and share their infrastructure as a service, and then to work together to build education programs with let's say, aggregation of all their human and physical resources, and at the end to be able to provide education as a service. So there are different priority themes. Of course, sustainable development started early in 1998 and is, let's say, following as a red line the activity of the network. And different other aspects like knowledge transfer, energy and security and renewables, advanced materials, and so on. So we are partnering the most important initiatives in the field, like we are founding members of the United Nations Academic Impact, the largest global initiative bringing together more than 6,000 universities globally. And we are working together for this, let's say, global framework of networking. And we've been the initiators of the global hub of United Nations Academic Impact on Sustainability that was developed by the BSUN. And of course, in all this process, we had to identify ourselves within the intellectual social responsibility. This aspect was mentioned also by Professor Bukovala. And at the end, what is, in our understanding, intellectual social responsibility of educators and education institutions is to take as a mission the building up of a way of thinking based on multivalent logic, on synthetic thinking, on integrative learning, and further on to help and support the students to focus on results, to generate synergies, as was mentioned here, between education and the society, and at the end, to try to make a little bit better on Earth. So in all this process, as was pointed out by this distinguished panelist, we have a tendency already recognized by everybody of a need or a movement towards a paradigm shift in education. So we see more and more that in the classroom or on the streets, interacting with the students and the pupils, we see that we are moving towards or from the knowledge oriented towards asking good questions. We are moving from learning as a product at the end towards a learning as a process and a product. We see that the teacher, not only as an expert, but more as an expert, as a consultant for the student from one side, but also for the partner institutions on the other side. And of course, we see also tendencies from looking at the student as an empty frame to competent learners, to center all attention on the students, and from teaching as taught and talk to learner-centered approaches. Of course, there are new goals in teaching at the moment, and we all recognize that we are now moving towards learning to learn. So instead of going to school to acquire some knowledge or some skills, we go to school to learn how to learn for a lifetime. We go to the school to cope with changes, because changes is now what is the most stable thing in our life. We go to identify what kind of competence has to be developed in order to build up and to live with relations, to develop a proactive attitude to entrepreneurship and innovation. And because also we have some business community together here, we have to mention that entrepreneurship and innovation is a specific approach or strategy to life and learning. So from that perspective, this means that you have the attitude and skills to affect and influence your life, your society, and take responsibility for active participation. What a nice definition, isn't it? And then we move towards a different tentative profile of the student. We like to have a student with a profile centered on taking initiatives. So though we don't want to see the student that is sleeping on the chair or how can I say, scrolling on Google or things like that. We want the students to take initiative, to be creative, to communicate in different contexts, to search for possibilities and to discover and see new possibilities, to sell ideas. So not just raise some ideas, but to sell them, to be able to fight for them, and to run risks and take responsibility to implement ideas and take actions, and to make products and services of value in life and business. For doing this tentative profile student, of course, it is a very hard work for the teacher. So the teaching approach is to start asking good questions. So the teacher himself, he has to be more creative than the students putting the question. This is not easy. To start having a critical thinking. So not only to show how to think, but also to make the criticism of your way of presenting that. This is also something extremely difficult. To be committed in the activity that you are doing, not to go when the bell rang and then to close exactly when the break is there, to be committed for every second to be together with your students, to fight for the independence on the way in which you consider that you have to teach, the way in which you consider that you have to interact together with your students, to have, of course, a cooperative attitude. You cannot be the enemy of your students. And of course, to have a way of thinking oriented toward the action, besides all to be pointed on responsibility. So all these things together means at the end, and plus to them, we talk about responsibility. So every teacher now is looking to the students and has to teach with these kind of questions. In which ways you are strong? So to show to the students, to find and discover the strength of himself. What are your interests? This is fundamental. Up to now, we were trying to build in students a lack of interest. Now we have to show what is really your interest, and you have to fight for your interest. What aspects of yourself would you like to develop? So this is extremely aspect to give the students the vision for their future, for their career, for their position in the society. Which subjects areas would you like to be better at? Of course, this is quite classical. Usually in the past, always we were asking the kids what you want to become when you will be in the future, and so on and so forth. But now the aspects of subject areas is coming more complicated, because the subjects are not anymore the same. The things are changing. The kids today that are starting the school, they will be involved in different type of jobs that are not yet invented, and different type of businesses and different type of activities that have been not even thought about. So from that perspective, it is more challenging. And then, of course, is about the strength of being in a team. Is because nobody by himself, he can do something in this very complex and very crowded world. So what are you good at together with the others? This is a fantastic aspect that we are completely lacking in our education, unfortunately. What are you good at alone? Because also you have to see the position of the kid inside of the community. Which interest do each of you in your team have, and what you would like to create? How would you like to be challenged? So from that perspective, we are moving now in a different type of let's say, shaping the education. The education is becoming borderless. So the education, we are talking about it in the coming decades more and more as an open education, where everything, starting from the strategy, starting from the leadership, has to be in compliance with the available technologies and to cope for higher quality. Here, of course, from aspect of content of education, the type of tools, means, technologies that are used, the aspects related to recognition of different types of education that are more and more informal than formal, collaborative type of activities, aspects related to research and access, of course, all of them together are within this pool. What we have done, so as the BLACKS Universities Network, we are working, I don't want to say very hard, but we are really working in developing digital platforms. So we have developed in the last 2 years an online training platform that is dedicated to providing the support for the teachers. Particularly, we started from the Blue Growth, and it's called bluegrowth.bsun.org. This is a platform, a digital platform where any professor, this is open for everybody, could access, log in, and have access to open access type of education resources. There are movies, there are different type of pictures, things that the professor can use when he's preparing a presentation, quiz for the students, some activities with the students, and so on. Then, of course, we are building within this network a regional master degree program. We started by defining this. It was a decision of the executive board. We have already a number of universities that committed themselves to participate in this regional program. And based on that, as was mentioned together with Evie Cobjean, we have been in partnership with this European network of Blue Schools, and we shall continue this activity. And also we are developing different type of partnership with some professional training centers and many different other programs. Then we started 1 year ago, actually, some hackathons. So we started by building a model together with the University of the Aegean in Greece. They supported us in making the first model. We did this in Hârșova on the occasion of the International Danube Day. And after that, our colleagues in Armenia, they developed at the higher level, the Lake Sevan hackathon, which was a fantastic success. Now we are planning to replicate this experience, and we are looking for partner communities that would like also to have such an hackathon. So what means such an hackathon? So on the 29th of June, the students from 6 universities in Romania came together and put themselves the question how Hârșova can be developed for the next decades. And they started by learning from, let's say, different type of studies that were made there, identify different opportunities. And then in 24 hours, working together, they came up with some models for development. And then it was a panel where they presented their results. And at the end, it was a fantastic story, because the major problem with a hackathon is not only to offer the student the possibility to participate to something which is interesting or to give him a prize. The most important thing is what you are doing with what is the outcome. So the winning team proposed a concept for the development of a very important center in Hârșova to attract and position Hârșova within these Danubian communities. And we further partnered together with the University of Bucharest, and at present we are preparing a large European project for a lighthouse in Hârșova, based on the idea of these students. So we are talking about a multi-million project that was initiated based on the idea of the students. And this was fantastic, because the students, they really feel that they are part of it. And of course, then we are talking about access to scientific data. Of course, this is something that is extremely important for us. We prepared an observatory for blue growth. This is a sort of indexing platform, or a platform where we are signaling different type of papers, studies, documents, some of them that are published in different journals, some of them that are unpublished. Different theses, because you know it is a huge resource of creativity within the thesis of graduation of bachelor degree, of master degree, of PhD programs, and so on. So we want them to make them public and to offer them to those who are in need. Another idea where we are working is to go with the education and activities related to knowledge beyond the walls of the university. And this is about the citizen science. So we are organizing science fairs together with different partners. We had different booths at different events, and we are interacting with these kind of centers, aiming firstly to learn from the knowledge of different types of communities. So this is also a very important aspect that we shall continue. A very important activity that we initiated 1 year ago, it was the mobile caravan. You know that in the Danube Delta, there are many remote villages or different type of communities where there are different schools, where there are fantastic students, pupils, and unfortunately, it is too far for knowledge to arrive there. So the teachers there, they do a lot of effort. So what we did, we took some university professors, we went to Sfântu Gheorghe by boat and so on. And there we made the connection with a research institute in Constanța, another research institute in Bucharest, and a manufacturing company, actually the Eco Hornets company plant. And from Sfântu Gheorghe, the students, they had questions not only to the university professor. Actually, we've been together with Professor Sciuba from University of Rome. So these kind of world famous scientists. And the pupils there, they've been able to interact, to put their questions directly to these, let's say, first class type of resource for knowledge. And this was fantastic. They were so happy, and it was that joy in their eyes. And we are sure that we have to go on and to multiply this kind of activities. Of course, kids, they like to play. Myself, I am already grandfather. I have 2 grandsons, and the elder one, already from 3 years old, he starts playing and gaming. So we could not tell him, well, you should not do this, you have to do that, and so on. No, we have to learn how to use his joy for orienting towards learning, towards how can I say, acquiring knowledge and experience. So from that point of view, we developed the gaming on Blue Growth in the Black Sea platform. Is this bluejoy.bsun.org. It is a repository of different games on Blue Growth, but also we built up a new pilot game, Diving in Blue. This time, Diving in Blue is a serious game. So it was developed together also in collaboration with the team from the High School of Videos, the kids there. So the game itself is about the interest of making scuba diving in the Black Sea. So you have there all knowledge, and it's very user-friendly. You just take this, let's say, mobile phone, and you enter into the game, you put questions, you acquire knowledge, and also you have the possibility of chat with different type of experts, trainers, officials that could give you some permits and so on. So we would like to extend this kind of games. Of course, art and let's say artistic type of interaction is a very important soft means of promoting sustainable development. And we experienced last year the first art fair that we organized under the frame of the BSUN. So students from the region, they submitted their artworks. The general theme was healing the Black Sea by art. And on the occasion of the International Black Sea Day, we have opened the virtual gallery of arts, and it was possible for everybody to enter into this virtual gallery via the bsun.org portal and to visit the gallery. It was a very nice experience, although we've been not very successful in attracting too many, let's say, high value works at the beginning. You know that in this field of arts, there are different aspects where you have to be professional. So we were not professional in this field of artworks because there are aspects of copyrights and different things like that. So from that perspective, we made just a prototyping activity just to acquire more knowledge on that, and we already identified very important partners. So starting from this summary, now we are moving to the final part of discussions. So there are some topics that we propose for your inputs. First of all, it was already mentioned that there are no anymore walls between formal and informal education. So more and more, it is clear that education, and even particularly we want to see outcomes on sustainable development, even we have to go more in fusing these two parts. So starting in the classroom, but going very far out of the classroom, going out of the classroom and going back to the classroom. So this is one topic of discussion. The other is about what it is actually the consequence of this COVID jump, the virtual versus on-site activities. So it was a long debate. We want, we don't want, we like, we don't like virtual. Is there. We cannot say anymore anything against it. The only problem is how we make this more efficient and how we could combine these two aspects of virtual and on-site activities, adjusting the activities to the needs and expectations of the students. This is actually the master question, key question for an educator, to understand the needs of the students and to match what you are doing with those needs. Because unfortunately, in most of the cases, if you ask the student, they will never reply to you saying something that I want this instead of I want a break for something. So involving the students in organizing and taking responsibility, this was already mentioned. So final, is there a new role for the educator in the society? So these are our topics. Of course, these are just orientative topics. We kindly ask you to take them orientative. If you want them to change, is no problem. So I would like to start with the first one, formal and informal education activities. Who is going to help us with the inputs on this? So, Professor Marquides, please.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
First of all, thank you for continuing to be with us. It is already midnight in Los Angeles. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes, I want to say something here because I think it's it is, of course, one of the most difficult questions that we have at higher education, how we can combine the formal and informal education, and how important is it to keep the strong disciplinary focus that we have had over many years in university. Is that important, and how can that actually also foster a possibility to not only bridge across the disciplines or the colleges, if you want, and also out in society. So, but my input here is that, yes, there are models that could be used in more, if you would say, adaptive hybrid organizations where you have the line organizations actually really in the core, and there everybody, all the faculty is hired, belongs to the core, that where they have network in the world in their disciplines. At the same time, to find ways that put incentives that they can work together across the disciplines, across the colleges, all internally in the university and also externally out in society. But that has to be a combined network and line organization that is supported by the leadership of the university, of course. So it requires really that you work together internally and on all levels of the university. But I want to claim that it is possible, and I think we should really talk more together about the benchmark between the different universities that have tried these methods. But I think that's what we need to do. We need to, and one more thing I want to say here is that if we do this, then we can also provide for the students to understand system thinking, because in all the good things that have been said so far in this meeting here, I think we should never forget that we have to give the students an understanding of system thinking, because especially today when everything, all the media and social media and so forth are actually fooling us in a way to be just to frame the mind, the thought in certain areas. We need to provide the next generation with an openness that to not be fooled about, that they can select the frame of their knowledge. That knowledge should never be framed, and I think we have to really stand up for that, because the society is not doing that today. So I think that could be achieved by a smart combination of formal and informal education.
Thank you very much. We have also a question from Professor Rizan Megvabidze from Georgia. And he's mentioning that in universities in general, but very important also in public universities, there are teaching programs which are extremely, let's call them rigid. So they are very well accredited, they passed over different types of procedures and so on. So in this aspect of being rigid and being, how can I say, in order to reach high quality, how could we flexibilize them in order to introduce aspects of sustainable development and sustainability in general? Maybe Professor Marchides, could you also say a few words about this?
Well, I'm sorry, I was distracted here. So I'm sorry.
So the idea is that generally in universities, you know that we have different programs that were accredited based on different type of panels, national or international. And the accreditation process is very rigid. So you have a clear content, you have a number of hours of different things and so on. So taking into account these very rigid aspects, how could we flexibilize them in order to make room enough for sustainability issues, sustainable development, and different others like resilience, coping with the complex challenges as you mentioned?
Yes, I think I tried to say that earlier in my discussions here, that it is important that in all different parts, in all different rigid part of the education, we need to also build in that core of thinking from a sustainability perspective, so that it's not something that you have to take the students to another part, other courses just to get this. It has to be connected really in all the different courses, definitely. But that's not enough. Then there are specific understanding and specific knowledge that is not provided in all these rigid courses that we have. So we have to identify what is the discipline of sustainability as such. And we have, of course, circular economy is one example, system thinking is another. And these things has to be provided to all the students in different ways. And it could be, I think the easiest way to do it is, of course, that we have in all the different levels of education in higher education. We have certain parts that are more open and free. The research component in the bachelor's, master's, that could be really used and to connect with the system thinking approach. So and also then I think it's important to re-establish. I think it was good that we talked about that, to really go back to the basics. You know, the connection between different disciplines was there from the beginning, and we lost it on the way. So I think it's very important to really open up that reconnection again between technology, science, humanity, and so forth. And we could actually make students to meet in the generic and transferable skill part of the university. We had more. I think it's not, you don't have to look back so many many years when university had really more of generic and transferable skills, personal development tools and courses in that. But then for some reason, I think it was in the 90s mostly, where it was taken away from the university's agenda, and more and more focus only on the discipline's content. And I think we need to really reestablish the personal development.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
many examples. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But because now we shall go to an example. Professor Teodosiu, you know very well that civil engineering is a regulated and over-regulated profession. And here we have a clear, by definition, rigid type of program with a clear curriculum and everything like this. So from your point of view, how we can be creative in teaching sustainable development, different types of aspects of sustainability in this, let's say, rigid framework or context of accredited and over-regulated programs?
Thank you, Eden. You're absolutely right. And I think it's a very good example. Professions like study programs like civil engineering programs. I just added to the chat a very relative conference we had in November, early November, in Thessaloniki. And the topic was the role of education for civil engineers in the implementation of the SDGs. So this is what we are discussing right now. How can we introduce the topics, the idea, and the agenda of the SDGs in the education of civil engineers? This is just an example. There could be similar examples in all scientific topics, in both humanities and sciences, or all the other disciplines. I think that we need to change our perspective. Even in rigid and solid scientific fields like engineering, which may sound very something like a fort, something like a castle to someone who's looking from the outside, it can open up to include all these perspectives that are related to the SDGs. And just to strengthen my point there, we had an exercise last year throughout our study program, the study program of civil engineering at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and we tried to identify how our study program is connected with the SDGs, with which SDGs, how close it is related, how closely it's related to specific SDGs, and so on. Well, we found out that our study program is connected to almost all SDGs, not all 17, but I think it was 14 or 15 of them. Some of them very strongly, like, for example, sustainable cities. It's civil engineering, so it should be closer to sustainable cities, but also to the other SDGs as well, because, you know, when you just see the titles of the SDGs, the 17 SDGs, it's not easy to understand what lies beyond that. You demonstrated earlier what comprises SDG 4, the quality education. There are a lot of parameters, a lot of targets that comprise this goal and all the other goals that are not clearly visible when you just see the title of the SDG. So you have to go behind the first impression and see what lies behind. But in my opinion, the most important thing that we need to understand and to address and to include in our study programs is interdisciplinarity. We need to go beyond the traditional barriers of our courses. And if I can have a comment on the slide that we are looking at right now, probably the first topic that we address, formal and informal education activities for sustainable development, could be the title of the whole discussion, because it obviously includes, and it needs to include, virtual and on-site activities. It needs to be adapted to the needs and expectation of the students, and in order to do that, we need to involve the students in the organization of the courses. And of course, we need to find new roles for educators, not only within the universities, but to the society as well. So we could have this approach, and we can introduce and enhance this approach in order to be able to break the traditional barriers without breaking out the science. The science is there. It's civil engineering, it's mathematics, it's chemistry, it's philosophy, or any other discipline. It's there, but we need to find how this extends and how it can connect with other disciplines as well. We can only benefit from that. It's a win-win approach.
Yes, thank you very much. So back to basic, one message, and the other one is already there, actually, is what we are doing. Even if we agree, we think to that and so on. So it is something to adapting to life. So with this, I would like to go back to this room. Once again, we are in the Romanian pavilion in the conference hall. And I have here some very important business people and people from, let's say, the activities that they are developing on a day by day. They are learning sustainability in a very hard way, because you are learning sustainability when you stand up in the middle of the night with the question, how I shall pay the salaries of my employees. So from that perspective, I will start with Joel. Joel is a very, let's say, interesting personality. He started his education in physiology, but then he moved into mathematics, into economics, and in different other fields. Now he is developing business with a very important company in Romania, representing and building projects in Canada. So from your point of view, Joel, aspects related to education for sustainability, how you will find them from the point of view of an entrepreneur?
Hi, everybody. As I introduce myself, I started in March 2021 in the field of the eco-technology for Eco-Arnet. And actually, since I was starting in that field, I start to meet a lot of people in sustainable economy, in education. In terms of education, I will come back to it, is that I find out that there's a lot of people that want to do something for the Earth, global warming, all these popular, how we call that, popular topics. Yeah, exactly. A whole concern, but they probably don't know at all nothing about how to do it, what to do, and sometimes they might do something, but they don't know the result actually. What would be the impact? So I'm quite concerned about every time that let's say, every time that I meet someone that I come with the solution to convert, let's say, start from the waste management, make heats from it, and then convert it into electricity. This is a very huge project that we have. I have to teach them what is the requirement in terms of waste management. I mean, if you have, let's say, radioactivity matter in, you have to remove it. If you, of course, it has to be inorganic. Do you have any idea that when I say it will consume any inorganic matter, they don't know what organic, sorry, I made my own mistake. Organic matter is plastic, hydrocarbon, wood, plastic. Some people don't think that it's organic. Sludge, carcass, name it, everything which is organic. And sometimes I reduce it by saying, remove everything which is inorganic. Most of the people know that the rock, metal or glass is inorganic. Otherwise, I can process, I can do something. No.
So it is a process of learning also in the activity of building businesses. And it is a process of teaching in the process of developing partnerships, you say, also from that perspective. And what do you think that might be the future role of the educator in order to prepare the business community or interact with the business community in order to facilitate projects towards sustainability?
You know, with let's say I am more likely king of all reign, master of none. I'm still learning, and yes, I have in terms of education, people are more likely mixing up things. So I would say that to come back to the education, you have, well, first, the first activity is to stop to pollute. Next thing is to be creative in terms of activity, to invent some solution. And then thereafter is to analyze in terms of bringing to some result. And we were talking about the sea. Sometimes I think we can do a lot of things for the sea, but the sea is so huge that the little thing you won't, that your activity, you won't see it for decade before.
Even the bad things that you are doing are diluted.
Exactly. So you have to say somehow to believe that, let's say, if I don't throw my plastic in the sea, at one point it will help. But people don't see it. So we have somehow to bring the education.
Okay, we have, thank you very much, Joel. We have here also a community of businessmen from Romania. Which one? Maybe the leader. You could say a few words from your point of view. What we have to do as bridging the business community with the education community from your perspective. Thank you.
Okay, I remind you, hello, my name is Sorin Peligrand. I came from Romania, from Brașov. My colleagues also, they are businessmen from Romania. We are all in pro-afaceri NGO. It's an NGO, translated is pro-businesses. And the tipping point is we're not doing businesses just for money. Because the new entrepreneur is not doing that anymore. Because the new entrepreneur is taking care about resources, that all kinds of resources, money, people, and environment. And now we have in our community, we have some social entrepreneurs who are involving a lot in community, doing things, helping people, including people in their activities. I must say, 4 months ago, we was partners with the city house of Brașov in a very big event named Green Cities Forum. That was for the first time organized, and the point is exactly what you say. about sustainability, about the impact in the environment. And we, Pro-Afaceri, Pro-Businesses and Association, we did organize a conference for the new kind of entrepreneurs, the green entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs who is doing and using technologies, new technologies, who is very more concerned about their impact in the community, in the small community or in the big community. So we're doing that, we're promoting that. We do have, as an individual entrepreneurs and also as a business association, we do have some CSR programs. We are educating and we are somehow, we know we are leading in the association activities in our city and in our region, where that kind of activities. So I congratulate you, I congratulate Romania and the rest of our guests, because if we are not doing things now, we will suffer tomorrow. And hello, everyone. We are here in Dubai, and I must say, yesterday was raining here in Dubai. Come on, we did need umbrella in Dubai. Something is wrong. Something is changing. So that's why we are here to involve and to have a point of view and to move things in the new direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's move to Brussels, where it's raining every day. Evie, if you don't take an umbrella when you are getting out of the house, it's something that you are missing. So what is the final conclusion that you will take out of this debate, Evie?
Yeah, I think we are all ready for this paradigm shift in education and the broader society. I think we won't see probably we won't see the results of our actions today or during our lifetime, but our grandchildren will see this. So we really have to think on a long term, and these small local actions will make some result on a global scale. So I think it's the values that you presented are very strong, and I think this is the way forward to this new type of education that I've heard here from all the partners who are in this panel discussion. So we are on the right track. So I can really end positively with this. So yeah, let's just continue. It's a bit like playing piano. If you have ever, I don't know if you play piano, but if you look at a piece of Chopin, then you go, oh no, I cannot do this. But if you start to play part per part, then you will get there in the end. So that is what we are doing. It's difficult, but we will get there. So that's my final conclusion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Evie. Professor Marquides, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's very good, these comments from the audience there. I think we have to remind ourselves that to not do the same mistake as we did when we went from, horses to cars, that we didn't see the pollution that we created in the air because it's invisible, it's chemistry. It was easier to see the manure that was put on the streets by the horses, but the carbon dioxide that comes from the modern cars we ignored. And I think we have to make sure that we're not doing the same mistakes, and we have to help the students to see the whole molecular level that is not visible to the eye, but it is visible to the brain if you go in the knowledge, if you get the knowledge. So don't blame plastics for plastic in the sea. Don't blame airplanes for pollution in the air, because the problem is not there. The problem is that we are ignoring chemistry. And I think that is something that we could really reestablish. And as you said before, Eden, this simple experiment with the hackathon in Seven Lake, where you saw these young kids that were playing games with computers every day. They had no clue of chemistry. Overnight, they became actually interested in what kind of phosphorus was polluting in the lake. I mean, simple tools where we can actually utilize the interest for computers and big data and really go into the real, invisible world, and they will follow. The kids will follow, they will be interested, and that is a hope for the future, that we are actually not ignoring and not blaming the technology that we have created. The technology is just not good enough. We can do better, but we should not stop using plastics. We should not stop flying airplanes, because that would be the worst. There would be very expensive solutions, and it would be we would not meet each other over the world, different cultures. I think that would be a very disastrous sustainability development if we are ignoring that. Let's build better solutions in technology, and that can really also acknowledge the invisible world.
Thank you, Professor Marquides. Actually, this is the basic philosophy that is propagated here at this Expo 2020. It is an amazing experience when you see all these nations that are represented here, and they are bringing in new type of technologies, new type of approaches, new type of philosophy, addressing exactly that aspect. We have to go forward, we have to move forward with all our achievements, but to make it better for a sustainable world, for a world that will offer equal chance to future generations to meet their own needs. So I can see now that Professor Laura Popa from the School Inspectorate in Constanța, she also joined. Professor Popa, we are almost at the closure. If you would like to say also a few words on your behalf.
Yes, we have some technical issues to do in Constanța. We prepare some simulation exam, and for that I was late. Sorry for that. And of course, our county inspectorate is preoccupied for this problem. I will start tell you about a story. I started 2 years ago. I went to Erasmus project to Iceland. This project was in October, late October, and there, it was 12 degrees, very hot. And I asked myself, why is very hot in Iceland? Why I didn't see the aurora borealis? Sorry, my English is not very good, but I wonder why we lost some and many things when the planet changed. Of course, we sustain all the type of education for all levels, primary to tertiary, and also adult learning. It's a way to find a solution. After we learn something, we have something like creativity, and with creativity, find a new solution. Education should be transformative and allow us to make informated decision and take individual and collective action to change our society and care for the planet. I am biology teacher, and we have 10 simple things you can do to help protect the earth: recycle, be volunteer, educate, conserve the nature, choose sustainability, shop wisely, use long-lasting light bulbs, plant a tree. And these are are some of our type of education in Romania. Of course, we have in one of the school we have technologies, in others only the good spirit. Altogether makes a good future perspective for our children. Thank you very much. And now I have another story. After Iceland, where it was very hot, I noticed in Dubai is raining in January. It's another wonder.
Thank you very much. Actually, besides of the rain of yesterday, today is shining, sun is shining, and it's a very pleasant weather. Actually, it is also a very tight program here. There will be many different other activities. This week is dedicated to the global goals. And from that perspective, there are many other activities. We shall also join some of them. We have the Romanian opera that is present here in Dubai Expo, and they will offer a performance today and many other activities. Before closing, I would like to finally come back to Professor Bukovala because she is working on a daily basis in developing this kind of activities. So finally, Professor Bukovala, what is your, let's say, one sentence conclusion?
Creating synergies. I think there are plenty of incredible, wonderful initiatives all over the world, at local level, near us, at regional level. And it's very important to be aware or to get more aware of this in order to create new opportunities for our students and for the learners in general. So it's very important, in my opinion, to keep in touch with the good things that happens everywhere in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. If there is something that was not said, because I've seen that also there are very nice comments on chat, and thank you all for being with us, for interacting with us. Thank you for all your ideas. So this was just a beginning. Once again, we didn't want to solve all the problems in just 2 hours. We are continuing this activity, and as was mentioned here very well, we would like to make a step forward, and this step forward has to be in line with these global goals and to make them effectively at the level of different entrepreneurs, at the level of different, let's say, teachers, professors, or at the universities, or different students, or the society in general. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for all your support in the activities of the BSUN, and goodbye for now, from here, from Dubai. Thank you.
Thank you. Send us pictures, please.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Mulțumim mult de tot.